I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is
Deviate, Circle of Dust.
Circle of Dust by the band Deviate for the big homie Jacob. That's Jacob, basically.
Yeah.
You know, like Jacob?
Yeah.
Jacob and Esau.
I figured.
For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. I'm pretty sure some of that's going to go down right after we do this, because there's a lot of political stuff to talk about. If you don't care about politics, then go to Middle America with Vin and Sori. If you came here, dear listeners, because you love you some metal.
Right.
If you're new to the channel, I don't know. I think right now I've got my metalhead sort of
Credentials?
No,
somebody said we don't because you compared Korn and somebody else. So one comment said it, so I'm sorry.
Ridiculous. Well, we're in a band now because of Sori came up in a Christian environment, blah 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 blah. So she wasn't allowed to listen to metal. She wasn't allowed to listen to anything really.
It was definitely a strict Christian home because not all Christian homes don't let you listen to music.
Right. Okay. So anyway, that's what we do. And there are multiple ways to get your song listened to. My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get hooked up with an alliance, and then off you go. There's also the filthy capitalist option, which is what...
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He's like, from a filthy capitalist from Sweden.
From Sweden. I thought there were socialists over there in Sweden. But anyway, $125 at the gate gets you straight to the head of the line. You do that 3 times, you get bumped down to the $75 rate. And that being the case, this is the band Circle of Dust and Deviate. Let's go. Whoa.
Don't make me use this! One step closer, I'm warning you!
That's not gonna flush, man. That ain't gonna flush.
Thrash, baby.
He's shot. Guy shot.
Slayer type.
Deviate! live in this lousy world?
Gang shootings, gang warfare, intimidation, street terrorism.
If I have my way, here's how I see the universe. I eliminate the people. I mean, cross them off. Get rid of them, destroy them, decimate them. Decimate them. Get rid of them, destroy them, decimate them. Get rid of them, destroy them, decimate them. Get rid of them, destroy them, decimate them. Decimate.
I was waiting for that last, you know,
This
Metallica
would,
comes out at the end.
This would have been a
Get
fun
rid of 'em?
song to play when
Destroy
you're
them?
doing laser tag.
Yes, yes, yes. I actually really like this song today, especially because I was fiddling around with interludes. I wrote a song recently, and I put a bunch of. I didn't do a bunch of interludes. I did one at the beginning, one in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It adds a certain type of context to the song.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun with it. I might put that song up on Patreon.
I think you could.
I might put that song up on Patreon. I'll put that up on the $15 one. $15 tier, because they never get any
15
love.
and above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna put that song up there. I think I'm gonna tweak it a little bit, and I will put this song up there.
If you're on the $15 tier, just send me a message. If you've already paid your 15, send me a message, because we advertise, your stuff for you. So if you've got a channel, or you have a little business and you want us to throw an advertisement in,
Right.
that's
Right.
there for you. That's available to you. So
Right.
don't
I'm with
forget about it. And you'll also get to hear Vin's song. People are gonna be like, where's the explanation? This sounds like a good story.
Well, I think some of the.
You know what,
I'll
honestly,
probably go ahead.
if you've been with our channel for a while, we're always putting out bits and pieces of that story.
Yeah, I think you could.
So
yeah,
I think that.
I think you could make a composite of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of know what's kind of going on there, but anyway. Let me pull up the lyrics.
She's not the one. That's part of the lyrics.
I know.
You don't know.
No, I do
What
know.
was your favorite part of the song? We'll talk about it later. Yeah, we'll do a little interview on the thing. You can interview me as an artist. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm an artist.
Yeah, I'll make you a little bootleg lyric video.
Yeah, you
can
should.
follow along.
You should. Okay, so what did you think the song was about? Get rid of them? Why did you say they were Christian? Who told you they were Christians?
He did. Look,
He said he was a Christian, or the band was a Christian
what?
band?
I just assumed. See?
I would love to have you review this song.
A Christian industrial metal band from the 90s.
Oh.
I figure if you know a Christian metal band from the 90s,
This did not.
because
This did not sound like a Christian band at all, which is great. Because they're usually corny. Like
I know.
Christian musicians. And
I
Christian
don't know. I've
artists.
been seeing some lately that I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, now, but I don't know. Like before, it was kind of weird.
I know.
I'm not
I
gonna
know.
lie. It was really terrible music. All right. Don't make me use this one step closer. I'm warning you, Flashman. He's shot. The guy's shot. That's one of the interludes. Bone on bone, flesh makes war on flesh. Mortal brothers strive against each other's hatreds mesh.
To be honest with you, I've thought that so many times. Like, if I was you, God, I'd just eliminate them all.
Get rid of them?
Yep.
Destroy them?
Destroy them?
Decimate them.
Yep. Absolutely. But then,
Decimate doesn't mean to completely destroy. It means to count off every 10. That's where Deci came from.
Oh, really?
10.
Well, yeah.
You count off every 10. Remember that Spartacus, when they lost that battle, and then they had to count off 10 and they had to kill that guy? That's decimation.
Oh, yeah.
But that line stuck in my head now. Get rid of them? It sounded like
said it.
A white dude, like 45-year-old white dude with black rimmed glasses, and he's just like, why did you shoot up all those people? And like, that's basically his, get rid of them?
Yeah.
Decimate them.
I just, sometimes it's like, there's so much evil, like, I don't know how God can stand that level of, I was just reading, I actually don't remember what the girl's name was, but she birthed her child in the bathroom and just threw the baby right out the window, and her sister was saying, do you hear a baby crying? Turned out it was the baby. Threw out the window. I guess he's alive. He's got, brain damage and different stuff from being thrown out 5 foot high off a window. But she said that she didn't know she was pregnant. I guess she's been lying a lot to the cops, but she basically was like, I just didn't.
Is this a local person?
It was on Facebook, so I didn't catch the name. I was just so horrified that she looked like such a regular person and that she could do something so horrific. And then the reaction by everybody, like everybody's appalled that she would have thrown her baby out the window. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like 2 weeks prior to that, if she would have gone in and sucked him to pieces, you'd have been fine. It's just like, I just can't understand that, whatever. But like that stuff, you know what I mean? Like, she threw the baby out the window, she cleaned herself up, took a shower, and took a nap. A nap? You took a nap? The baby's out there dying and you took a nap?
People are basically good.
But when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, how does God, especially anytime it's like crimes against kids, like, I don't understand how God is able to just not say, you know what?
Well, I think
this whole thing and start them over.
John Piper or James White, that kind of changed my entire paradigm, was like, the judgment oracles in the Bible. He's like, that's not the problem. The problem is, why does he let any of us live? That's the moral dilemma, which is interesting, because when you go to Romans, that's the problem Paul is trying to solve. How does God justify people and still remain a just God? And so he talks about Christ being the propitiation so that God can be at the same time just and the justifier of the one who believes in Jesus. So in Paul's mind, the problem is, how can God forgive any of us and still be called a good God? It's not, how could he flood the world? Like, that's understandable.
Yeah.
It's understandable how he could flood the world.
Yeah.
And people will generally disagree with that. They'll recoil in horror until you talk about something like child molestation.
Yeah.
You bring up a child molester, and that's when people say, how could God forgive sinners? And they don't realize that in the divine courtroom, in just the same way, I'm not saying that child molestation is as bad as, let's say, being a gangbanger or something like that. So I'm not saying it's as bad. I'm not one of these, and I don't think you can make a case in the Bible that all sins are the same, especially when it comes to harming children, as Jesus said. But when you talk to those people, and we've been around those people, they trivialize the degree of the evil, most of them. We've got one person in our community that's, from what we can observe, not happy with himself for engaging in that, and kind of has an understanding of, XYZ.
Yeah.
But, my brother used to work with those folks to try to, like, rehab them and reintegrate them and all this, and he spent, I think, 4 or 5 years doing that. And then he switched professions so that he could go after them. So that, because it's because they were just, he would, there was one time he called me and it was clear that he had to vent. And I felt terrible, but I had to change the subject. Because the stuff that he was telling me that they were telling him, I couldn't handle it. Because I wanted to get in the car and just go and murder all those people. Like, no bullshit. I had to change the subject because I was like, the stuff that these dudes were saying, the blaming of a 5-year-old girl, the trivialization of it, and it's like this crazy attitude, and you're like, are you insane? Do you understand what you've done? But that's how, and again, somebody's gonna, probably Kellandron, is probably gonna say, oh, you're saying they're the same thing. They're not the same thing. But what I'm saying is, the same sort of vacuous trivialization of a very great wrong that those people commit is how God looks at us. Well, it's a little white lie. This is that. Well, that guy deserved it. That guy, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's like, do you realize what you've done? And none of us do.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with a friend one time, and I said, okay, tell me the list of things that make someone evil. So he goes off and lists all those things, right? I said, tell me the things that just make people like mistake makers. Not really that big of a deal. So he lists off all those things. And then I said, have you ever done anything in that list of evil? He goes, no. I said, have you ever done anything in the list of the little mistake making things? He goes, yeah. All the time.
Convenient.
I said, well, isn't that convenient? All the shit that you don't do is horrifically evil, but the shit that you do every day, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew one of those dudes was, he used to say, yeah, I've done X, Y, Z, but at least I'm honest. I don't lie about shit. And it was true. From what I could tell, that dude wasn't a liar. So he was sitting here, he was a child molester, and he was sitting in judgment of liars. And I was like, well, it's just like the human mind and the things that we use to justify ourselves is mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, this whole situation, like my brother, I'm not gonna talk about that, but like the world we're in right now is so crazy. Like on both sides, the world is just crazy. Like, that Rittenhouse kid, basically the state said that they weren't gonna file charges against him or whatever. And I'm a father of a 14-year-old kid. So when I look at Rittenhouse was a white kid. You know what I'm talking about. And he walked right by the cops and all that. I'm the father of a kid who's about Rittenhouse's height. And Dorian he's one of these right-winger, pro-gun, second. Like, I could definitely see Dorian in that situation. And I would want my son to come home alive. Now, the facts are, dudes went after him. That's a fact. It's just a fact. Somebody shot a gun into the air 30 seconds before he turned around and he blitzed the guy. And then he ran. He was running for his life. And dudes tackled him, started hitting him, went for his gun. He had his little, he had his little tax strap on him, took care of business. And, it's horrible that people died. But when I'm looking at the commentary from people like, oh, they should have killed him. There was this one guy that he shot and he basically blew up dude's arm, and the guy said, oh, I hesitated and I shouldn't have hesitated. I should have killed him. I'm like, this is a 17-year-old kid you're talking about, murdering this kid. And again, it's not like the dude went on a shooting spree. He was trying to get himself out of but then the thing was, to me, like, the bigger thing is, like, he was put in that situation by adults. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
because a lot of well, yes and no. I'm not sure where you're going with it, but like Dorian has his own. Dorian is 14. He's literally a week away, less than a week away from being 15, and he has his mindsets on things. And it doesn't matter what we say. Like, we're not changing his mindsets. Like, you'll have these big, long, drawn-out conversations with him, and it literally doesn't matter. He'll be like, "That's great," you know what I mean? But if he doesn't believe it and he doesn't see it for himself, then he's going with what he thinks.
He's gonna go.
And I think that obviously, it's good to have your own opinions and not, rely on everybody else to make your opinions for you. But at the same time, what is it? Under 24 years old, like, your mind, your brain is underdeveloped. And so you're making decisions based on an underdeveloped brain. So, here, this kid was 17 years old. He's running around with a weapon, a lethal weapon. And he was in that situation. And I think that, yes, there are things that your parents teach you that, like sometimes I think, when a kid is very young and they're extremely racist or they're very hateful or, they've learned that from their parents a lot of times. Like that kid that came up to you and he said, what, you're just some, what did he say?
Poor boy from the project, yeah.
Right. Like, he wouldn't know that to say that. How old was he?
He is a 6 or 7.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, obviously that came from someone above him, like, you know, his parents or grandparents or uncles or something.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm not saying the Rittenhouse kid was a racist. You know, I don't.
I'm
know.
not even saying that. I'm just saying that him going around. I totally disagree with allowing. To me, he's 17. He's a child, and he shouldn't have had a weapon.
No,
that should be illegal.
What I mean is the entire situation that created his perceived necessity for being out there is a failure of the adults in this country.
Facebook posts and
media is run by adults.
Yeah.
The irresponsible Facebook posts are run by adults. The you know, all this bullshit is a failure of adults.
Yeah.
And then, you know, your mind, and when you're 7, like when I saw those planes crash in 9/11, I was like, okay, people are gonna die over this shit. And I remember I was talking to Selah about 9/11 because it's mind blowing to me that she was not alive when 9/11 happened. So I just mentioned 9/11. She's like, "What's that?" I sat down, and she was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I lost, you know, family member in that, whatever." And she's like,
Salah's 10.
She's like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "You know what we did?" I said, "We went over there. In the last 20 years, we've killed about 1 million of them, and none of the people that we killed had anything to do with 9/11." And she said, "Well, now people know not to fuck with America."
She didn't say fuck with America.
No. The thing it's so mind blowing to me. That's not the issue. The issue to me was
she
the
didn't
attitude.
realize.
No.
Yeah.
I said we killed 1 million. They killed 3,000. We killed 1 million of them.
She didn't realize how horrific it was. It was just about good.
I don't know if she didn't realize how horrific it was. I think she did realize how horrific it was. And she was like, "Well, now you'll know not to mess with America." And I was like, holy shit. The fuck part, I mean, it wouldn't have meant anything to me, but her attitude was, now they know. And I'm like, whoa. She doesn't spend all the time around here, but it was like a very sobering moment for me where I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I know when you put 1 million next to 3,000, it's so hard to comprehend. Like, and that, like, even when you talk about abortion, like, yo, we've killed 61 million kids through Roe v. Like, the number becomes so big that it becomes, like, insignificant. Like, if you said, like, 12 people died, to some degree, it's like a more impactful moment because you can zero in on, your mind can wrap around. So, some of it is like, I get it, the number's too big, but there's that American sort of like, hey.
Well, yeah.
You know, and I was 18 and my mind was shaped that way. Like the minute I saw those people like jumping out of the buildings, and you know how obsessive I get about stuff, I was like, I could taste blood. Like I was so angry, and honestly, if you told me, look, men, women, and children are gonna die, I'd say I'd be good, and I'd want to kill them. Like that's how. So your mind is so easily manipulated and shaped when you're so young, especially by the media. I had no idea what was happening to me when I was being brainwashed. Like I had no clue what was happening.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand why Fox News, every commercial break, they would come back from commercial and they were showing the thing and the dramatic music, and then they had the Green Berets going out there and all that, like, and Black Hawk Down just happened to come out, like, like, of course, looking back now, I'm like, oh, well,
yeah,
you know, like, so when I say Rittenhouse was like failed by the adults, I'm talking at the meta level. You know, it's kind of like Lord of the Flies, where the whole thing is these kids, they get stuck on this island and they start devolving into chaos and violence, and people end up being killed, and there's a simulated rape scene and yada yada yada, and it's kids doing it, and then the protagonist is always saying that his dad was coming for him, and it was like, there's a point in the story where you lose hope, like there's no dad coming for you, and these kids get completely, you know, become savage kids, and at the end of the book, they do get rescued, and it's a basically a war cruiser. And so, like, I remember a lot of the kids in the class was like, "Holy shit! I didn't know he's gonna get rescued." And I was like, "They didn't get rescued. You're talking? It's a war cruiser. Like, their parents are on the island. And basically, the point is the world is the island. Like that's So it's like it's such a failure of us at our level to create a better world for our kids. So now kids like Rittenhouse are walking around feeling like they got to carry it. And so, God bless him. I hope he gets to go home and fade into anonymity. But both sides exploited him, and both sides dehumanized him. The leftists were saying we should have killed him. He's a fascist, blah blah blah. And then the right wingers were making this dude a hero, and saying he's a hero, and I want him to marry my daughter, and all this other shit. And I'm like, that's the wrong messaging on both sides. So, yeah, it's definitely was like what was in my head. Good song. What do you give it?
9.5.
I'm gonna give it a 9.3. Good song, like the riffage. It was definitely head bobbing music for sure.
Yeah, it was fun.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Don't make me use this! One step closer, I'm warning you!
That's not gonna flush, man. That ain't gonna flush. He's shot. Guy shot.
Who's got the shotgun?
There's a man back there dead with a shotgun blast.
Who's got the shotgun?
Skinheads, we're a gang. And so, we're a gang just like the Bloods, just like the Crips, but we're not out there doing drugs, we're out there for a race. And if it takes violence, we'll do violence,
God, hate. Now I have hate.
Why do you kill?
Now you've done it.
You want to live in this lousy world?
Gang shootings, intimidation,